Hi everyone, so today I'm going to walk through what you should do to set up your database when you first get access to it. This will be a rather high level video, so I'll skim through it fairly quickly. If you feel the need to go into anything in further detail, please refer to the knowledge base or pause and rewind this video to repeat what's been said. Outside of that, if you get super stuck and can't get past any of this, do give us a call in after referring to the knowledge base and we'll see if we can help you directly. Okay, so first thing you should do when you get your new database is under the security tab, you should give yourself a new profile. So under user administration, you should see your super user account already there, but you will need to add a new user with your username, your password, your mobile number or email, and that will create an individual password so you can keep track of who has done what within Venus. It is advisable to also change the password to super user as well, so the one we've provided you is not the one that you will use long term. From this screen you can also edit passwords for any particular user. You can also edit the security group as well, which is this column here. Security normal is of course more restricted than admin, but you can manage that and maintain that however you need. If you wish to better manage what your staff see when they log in, you can go to security configuration, and what you can see here is the security setup menu. From here you can edit a particular security group by selecting it here. You can see the menu items down the left hand side that they can either interact with and edit by having enabled ticked, or see or not see at all by having visible ticked or unticked. So security payroll, if we were to untick visible for staff menu, this menu here as staff would disappear for anyone logged in as security payroll. Once you've created your new profile, what you can see is data entry. Now data entry works as our configuration menu item. From here you've got many items that you can set as global values against your entire database. You won't need to go through all of these for your first config run, but I'll show you what you should go into before you start creating your staff members or your clients within the database. First up, we'll need to look at the company details, make sure they are correct for your company. Your ABN will need to be in here. The rest of this is fairly self-explanatory. It will need to be completed in full. Previous BMS identifier was only relevant for clients who are creating a new entity from Venus to another instance of Venus, so that won't be relevant for many people. We also have company logo. This is where you can choose the image to be used on your invoices, payslips, and all other correspondence from the system. The accounting values, what you'll see in here will typically be referred off to your accountant to make sure that it is correct. One thing you can adjust straight away is the code for your bank here, the bank that you will be paying from. And also if you are running payroll through Venus, you must have single touch payroll ticked as yes, and you should also volunteer whether you are registered to employ Holidaymaker visa holders as a yes if you are. Accounting directory, if you are hosted with us, we will give you a link to this folder. This folder is where your STP file, your ABA file, and other reports will be exported to, so you can then use them within the portals of your banking or STP reporting portals. Banking setup will need to be complete, as this will form part of your ABA file, which is an instruction to your bank to pay your staff. So this will need to be accurate for the account that you are paying from. Super setup, again, refer to your accountant if you need to change any of these. Typically you should not need to. This menu here says teacher, school and patient setup. This is where you can change what kind of engagements you have, whether you call your staff nurse or whether you call your staff teacher, if you call your clients client, hospital or school, and if you call the recipients of whatever service you're providing patients or clients as well. From here we can see we can change the label here to something more appropriate. Client, change the teacher label to staff, and we'll leave the patient as patient as well. Next time we open the application, those changes will apply. As you can see here, we now have staff, client and patient. Shift request and roster setup will establish how you wish to have requests come through, how you are going to assign them. These settings are mostly self-explanatory. The knowledge base goes into great detail on each and every one. But for this, you're effectively wanting to decide whether you're allowing people to roster on at the same time, 2 rosters at the same time, which may be a possibility. The minimum breaks they have between rosters, so you may want a 5-hour minimum break between the rosters they work. Auto convert weekend shifts to be like a weekend rate, you can do that as well. Cloning notes if you're going to have any split shifts at all. Additional bits and pieces here that you can dig into in the knowledge base. Nothing too critical for your initial config, but once you've set up your staff, your clients, and are getting familiar with rostering and invoicing, we can dig into this with a bit more detail for you. If you facilitate leave within your engagements, this is where you can set your default full-time weekly hours, what percentage leave loading, and the entitlement they have, and also the balances that appear on the payslip. Messages is where you can put free text in at the footer of an invoice, as you can see for this one here, at the footer of a payslip, or if you're using the patience module with funding, with the statement against the recipient receiving the funding package. This will be a global setting and will apply to all invoices and all payslips. Invoice setup is where you can state your terms or your days expected for payment. Suppress zero invoices is where you may be generating invoices with zero sums attached to them. You want to generate those for record keeping, but you do not want them to be presented to the client. Journal type, this will be whatever accounting package you are using. And the journal feed setup will be if you're overriding any ledger codes, you can enter those in here. Email values, upon your original delivery of your database, you will receive a Mailgun account that you can use for free for a period of time. This is a mass sending platform, so therefore it is not the best option if you're wanting to use a high volume of email. This is simply a starter to get you up and running, to make sure that you can use the email functionality, and gives you time to get your IT to engage an actual mail server for you. SMS setup will allow you to choose which SMS provider you wish to engage. You will need to approach them individually to create an account to use within Venus. This will be for messaging out rosters or notifications to groups of staff or all staff about any messages you want to send across. Your SMS provider will give you ID, password, and the other variables to enter in here. Background color simply changes the background color of the application. Suburb distances, client geocodes, and patient geocodes. These are really only for reference. The system itself will collect the geocode from the address entered against the client or the staff, and will also take a geocode stamp when somebody uses their mobile phone to check in or check out of a roster. So this here just will refer to what you have already captured, so you can double check that in case there's any risk of double entry of addresses. If, for example, one address is in a shopping centre and the distance that is pinpointed is substantially different, you can get that pinpoint a little bit closer to where you expect it to be. Balance migration is for anyone going from an old Venus to a new Venus. And file store setup is where you'll be able to identify where on your hardware or on our hardware you'll have linked documents. That is where if you have some documentation from engagement or any HR documentation you wish to pin to the staff member, where that will be stored. Once that's all been done, you've got your fundamentals established. What you'll need to do now is go in and create your types. Your types work as a set of free-form lists that you can create and manage to your desire. You can have any number of entries in either of these, any of these tabs. That doesn't matter. It's up to you to list as many as you want. For example, super types. We have some basic super funds in this demo environment here, but you may have self-managed super funds. There should be no restrictions there as to what you can enter. Also, certificates, if you have any certificates that are relevant to your engagements, if you're paying allowances for certificates held, etc. This is where you just create those free form lists. One thing you'll see a lot of in the types menu is a sort order. Whatever number you enter in here will dictate in which order it appears in the drop-down list where it is used within Venus. You can go from 0 to many hundreds. That doesn't matter. It's up to you how you structure those. Now, going through each of these items, the ones that you will definitely need to be completing before rostering and running any payroll and invoicing will be super types, as mentioned before. Staff types. Your rate table will aggregate some data from multiple of these tabs to create your rate table that you will use to pay your staff, which will include your charge rate and your pay rate. These items are essential to be able to create that rate table. So a staff type, maybe assistant, enrolled, registered midwife for this demo. You can put in the abbreviation here. You should also have grade rate level. So you can have the AN1, AN2, AN3, AN4 for assistant nurse at various levels. You should also have an actual rate table created. You can look into how to create these rate tables from the knowledge base. There is a very good resource there that will walk you through this end to end. Effectively, what you want to do is create a table of your rates, get a few of your essential rates in. You can then export that, build that out in Excel, and re-import that instead of having to type in each and every variable. But as you can see here, with this demo environment, it has been divided by client. So we have Bettiswing Hospital. There's also an agency fee rate table, but if you have a standard award or something, you can create that standard award in here and create all of those rates that apply to that award in the rate table. Or if you pay differently per client, you can then do the same there. So for example, if you invoice one client more than another, that would be 2 rate tables. You should also have a look at your checks. Make sure that any checks that you have that are mandatory are selected, entered, and always ticked as mandatory if they are mandatory globally. You can micromanage this on a per client basis. You can say it is not mandatory for all staff, but it may be mandatory for an individual client. In that case, you would leave this unticked. Always check is to make sure that every time you roster someone, have a look for this and mention if they have it or not. Auto insert for new staff. If you have expectations of your staff that they will have a particular check each and every time, and that is managed at your onboarding stage, you would tick this and every new staff created would have that attached as a default. Visa subclass should also be entered if you are employing visa holders. You can do that by hitting insert, and you can manually type in the visa subclass there. So that's your types for your initial first few days setup done. So next up, you should then create your rate table. The rate table screen here, as you can see, is quite complete. You can filter this down to the specific rate table that you want to view or edit, the actual shift type. And remember, these are all variables that you entered in the types menu. And you can have a look at the assistants here. And all levels, or you can pick out a single level, and that's how you can review an individual rate. So what we have here is this rate table here is an afternoon shift type. That's an hourly rate for an assistant nurse AN01 charge, which is the invoice rate of $26 per hour and a pay rate of $24 per hour. It became effective on 1st of January 2002. To multiply out on your rate table, as mentioned, you can export that file to where you can manage it with Excel, save it as a CSV, and import it back in again. Load the import file, and you can then pick where you've edited that file and saved it to. And that'll give you a preview there, and once that's all done, you'll then have your rate table completed. So that should all form your day one config. It will take some time to go through that, particularly the rate table. As mentioned, we do have the knowledge base, which you can find from the help, user manual online. What you see here is the knowledge base. Type in here what you're looking for example, rate tables. It has some recommendations and will load up resources specific to rate tables. And it will go into a good click through here of exactly what you need to do, how to add a rate table, etc. So that will be a very good tool for you in your early days. So please do refer to this when setting up your database. In a following video, what we'll go into is detail on the staff configuration, the client and client configuration, including how their invoices will appear, their contact details, etc. And after that, as a third resource, it will be a video of shifts, how you create the requests or how you field the requests, and how you place people most appropriate for those rosters into those rosters. But that's it for this video here. Please do give us a call if you get stuck with any of that. We are available 9 to 4:30 Queensland time, Monday to Friday. But best of luck, and I will speak to you soon.